big reversal in a $7.2 million fraud case in Hennepin County. The judge has thrown out the jury's guilty verdict.
This wasn't some technical hiccup. These fraudsters, Abdelfattah Yusuf and Lul Ahmed, were convicted on 6 counts of charges, months of evidence, a jury that deliberated for hours, all erased in one ruling.
Yusuf and his wife Lul Ahmed were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant or PCA scam. The couple allegedly spent tens of thousands of the fraud money.
And here's the part that rattled people inside the system. The judge didn't say the fraud didn't happen. She said the state couldn't prove who was responsible, which raised this question on everyone's minds. If a case this obvious can't hold, what happens to the rest? Because this ruling hit while Minnesota is already buried under billion-dollar fraud scandals, overseas money trails, and growing federal probes into how taxpayer money keeps disappearing. And here's the twist most people missed. Once that verdict collapsed, the issue stopped being one defendant. It became about whether Minnesota's system can still enforce fraud at all, or whether the feds are stepping in because the state no longer can. And that's where this story really starts. Here's why this case collapsing came out of nowhere and was shocking for most people. This wasn't a messy jury split or a hung panel. It was a unanimous guilty verdict, and that's because all the facts were on the prosecution's side. The fraudulent couple had a home health care business that barely existed, and billing Minnesota's Medicaid program for services that either weren't documented or never happened at all. But that wasn't all.
The jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located.
And what's more, they followed the money and found a whole lot of it in Abdelfattah's accounts. Over $1 million moved from the business into personal accounts. Nearly $400,000 withdrawn in cash. You might be thinking, what could they have possibly needed that much money for? Well, according to prosecutors, they splurged it on luxury purchases, mansions, luxury vacations, a lifestyle that stood out immediately because it didn't exactly line up with their paycheck.
The files documenting spending sprees in which defendants, get this, took taxpayer money that was obviously meant to feed hungry kids during the pandemic, and instead they used it to buy fancy cars, property, jewelry.
And when jurors heard all that evidence, it only took them a few hours to reach a verdict. The jury foreperson later said this about the case.
It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most, based off of the state's evidence that was presented.
Good evening, patriots, and welcome back to Harlan Reports. I am Harlan, and I am speaking to you live from our studio on this historic Monday, December 29th, 2025. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes. Tonight, we are putting aside the usual headlines to talk about something that hits us right here in the heart. We have a story that is going to make you cry. It is going to make you angry, but most of all, it is going to remind you why we fight so hard for this beautiful country. We have breaking news involving President Donald Trump and Elon Musk that you need to hear right now.
The reaction was the same as most Minnesotans. I was outraged. We've been dealing with this fraud for a long time. She acknowledges in her order that fraud was rampant in this case, and it was clearly out of control. She couldn't believe the level to which fraud was allowed to be able to be perpetrated. And then it comes to bear that she lets him off because she felt as though somebody else should have been to blame that wasn't the owner of the company. Judicial reform is needed in Minnesota. That is definitely true. But the judge absolutely was acting outside of her authority to do this. It's being already brought to the Minnesota Court of Appeals. So the Attorney General's office is appealing it. And I'm sure they're going to win on appeal. I'm not an attorney, but the precedent that she used was outrageous. And she applied it far wider than the law actually allows. At one point, she argued it because in many of the instances of fraud where a check was written, the defendant claims to have been in Bemidji, which is far, far northern Minnesota, hundreds of, or at least 100 miles away from where the fraud was physically taking place, as if computers don't exist or whatever. And she claims that because he was so far detached from the business, he didn't credibly know that the fraud was happening, which is of course insane, right? He cashed the $1 million worth of checks within like a night.
Folks, I have to be honest with you. When I sat down at this desk tonight, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from a deep, aching sadness mixed with a fire in my belly. Today, we are looking at a wound in our justice system that is so deep, it brings tears to my eyes just saying the words. We are talking about fairness. We are talking about the difference between right and wrong. And we are talking about how one person in a black robe tried to steal the voice of the American people. Let me take you to Minnesota. Imagine 12 normal people, just like you and me, maybe a school teacher, a mechanic, a grandmother. They gave up weeks of their lives to do their duty. They sat on a jury. They listened to the truth. They heard the sad story of how millions of dollars, money meant to help sick children and elderly folks who can barely walk, was stolen. They heard how a man named Abdifata Yusuf took that money. They looked at the evidence, and it took them only 4 hours to decide. They came back and said, guilty. They said it loud and clear. They spoke for us. They spoke for justice. But then, something heartbreaking happened. In November 2025, Judge Sarah West, a judge appointed by Democrats, and looked at those 12 brave Americans and essentially told them they didn't matter. She threw out their verdict. She threw it in the trash. She let this man, who the jury said was a criminal, walk free. She said the evidence wasn't good enough, that maybe his brother did it without him knowing. Can you believe that? I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you work hard all week, you pay your taxes, you follow the rules because you love your country, and then you watch as someone takes that money that could have saved a life, and uses it to buy fancy clothes and expensive things. And when he gets caught, the system opens the back door and lets him go. It feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? It feels like a punch in the gut. It makes you want to weep for the forgotten men and women of this country who just want a fair shake. But folks, wipe those tears, because I have news that will lift your spirit. The story doesn't end in the dark. We have champions. We have fighters. President Trump and Elon Musk have seen this tragedy, and they are not staying silent. They are stepping into the ring for you. Folks, I want to talk about that word justice for a minute. It's a big word, isn't it? But really, it's simple. It means if you do something bad, you have to face the music. It means if you hurt people, you don't get a prize. That is what we teach our kids on the playground, right? Don't take what isn't yours. Play fair. It's so simple a child understands it. But apparently, inside that courtroom in Hennepin County, those simple rules, the rules that hold our entire country together, were thrown out the window. Let's look closer at this man, Abdifata Yusuf. This wasn't a mistake. This was someone accidentally filling out a form wrong. The jury saw the proof. They saw how he set up a fake business. They saw how he pretended to help people but really just helped himself to your money. $7.2 million. Can you even imagine that much money? That's not just numbers on a page. That is thousands of hours of your hard work. That is money that was supposed to pay for medicine, for a grandma who worked her whole life. It was supposed to help a veteran get the care he earned. Instead, where did it go? It went into this man's pocket. And here is the part that breaks my heart. The jury, those 12 good, honest Americans, they saw through the lies. They did their job. They sat there for weeks, away from their families, away from their jobs. Because they believed in the system, they looked at the facts and said, this is wrong. This is theft. They did exactly what we asked them to do. They stood up for us. They stood up for the truth. They delivered a verdict that said, in America, you cannot steal from the people and get away with it. But then, Judge Sarah West stepped in. She didn't just disagree with them. She erased them. She silenced them. She looked at all that evidence, all that hard work by the jury, and she said no. She said it wasn't enough. She made excuses for him. She said maybe he didn't know what was happening. She created doubt where the jury saw none. It feels like she looked right past the crime and right past the victims. It feels like she cared more about protecting a criminal than listening to the voice of the people. It makes you want to scream, doesn't it? It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like the system is rigged against the good guys. You follow the rules, you pay your taxes, you love your country, and this is the thanks you get. To watch a fraudster walk free while you struggle to pay for gas and groceries? It hurts. It really, truly hurts. It feels like a betrayal of the highest order. But hold on, because the story isn't over. We have people on our side who feel that pain too, and they are ready to fight back. Folks, let's talk about Elon Musk for a moment. This man could be anywhere in the world. He could be on a private island, sipping a cold drink, watching his rocket soar into space. He has everything a person could ever dream of. But where is he? He is right here in the trenches with us. He is on X, his platform, fighting for truth at 2 a.m. while the rest of the world sleeps. Why? Because he loves this country just as much as we do. He sees what is happening in Minnesota, and he refuses to look away. When Elon saw Judge West throw out that verdict, he didn't just shake his head. He didn't just complain to a friend. He took action. He posted to millions of people, saying exactly what we were all thinking: this judge must go. He shone the blinding spotlight on a dark corner of our legal system that the establishment wanted to keep hidden. He made sure that Judge West couldn't hide behind her bench. He made sure the whole world saw the injustice. That takes courage, folks. That takes a true patriot. And think about what that means for us. For years, we felt ignored. We felt like we were shouting into the wind. We saw the corruption, the waste, the unfairness, but no one with power seemed to care. The elites in their ivory towers just laughed at us. But now we have the smartest man in the world, standing next to the strongest leader in the world, and they are both saying, "We hear you." They are looking at that single mom struggling to pay rent, at that veteran waiting for care, and they are saying, "We are fighting for you." It brings tears to my eyes just thinking about the hope that gives us. We aren't alone anymore. We have a voice. When Elon tweets, the ground shakes. When he calls for justice, people listen. He is using his power to protect the American taxpayer, to protect your wallet and your future. He is demanding that our courts follow the law, not their own personal agendas. He is reminding everyone that in America, justice is supposed to be blind. It's not supposed to peek out from under the blindfold to help a fraudster, just because a judge feels like it. This partnership between President Trump and Elon Musk is something we have never seen before. It is like a shield for the American people. One fights in the Oval Office, signing orders and protecting our borders. The other fights in the public square, exposing lies and demanding accountability. Together, they are an unstoppable force. And today, they have their sights set on Judge Sarah West. They are sending a message that echoes from coast to coast. If you betray the American people, you will be held accountable. You cannot hide anymore. The days of protecting criminals over citizens are over, and that, my friends, is a beautiful thing to witness. Friends, I need you to stay with me here, because this part is hard to talk about without getting a lump in your throat. We talk about millions of dollars like it is just math. 7.2 million. It sounds like a lot, but let's talk about what that money really is. That money is life. That money is hope. That money was taken from the paychecks of factory workers, farmers, and waitresses who stand on their feet all day. It was gathered up with a promise that if an American child gets sick, or if a grandma needs help getting out of bed, we will be there for them. That is the American promise. We take care of our own. But Abdi Fattah Yusuf broke that promise. He didn't just steal money, he stole care. He ran a fake business out of a mailbox. A mailbox? No doctors, no nurses, just a place to collect checks. While he was cashing those checks, imagine who was waiting. Picture a little girl in a small town in Minnesota. Maybe she needs a wheelchair. Maybe she needs therapy to learn how to walk. Her parents are crying at the kitchen table because the funding isn't there. They are told they have to wait. They are told the system is strained. Now, I want you to look at where that little girl's wheelchair money actually went. It didn't disappear into thin air. It turned into luxury shopping sprees. It turned into expensive coats from Canada Goose. It turned into designer bags from Coach and Nordstrom. Can you imagine the selfishness? While a child waits for help, a criminal is walking around the mall, wearing your tax dollars like a trophy. He is laughing at us. He is laughing at that little girl. And Judge Sarah West? She looked at that selfishness and decided it wasn't a crime worth punishing. She decided that the circumstances were too vague. She let technicalities stand in the way of what is right. It makes you feel sick, doesn't it? It feels like the world has turned upside down. The bad guys get the gold, and the good guys get the bill. This is exactly why President Trump is so angry. He is a builder. He knows the value of a dollar. He knows that every cent the government spends comes from your sweat and your sacrifice. When he sees waste like this, when he sees theft rewarded by a judge, he takes it personally. He sees that little girl waiting for her wheelchair, and he says, "Not on my watch." He is fighting to make sure that never happens again. He wants a country where the money goes to the people who need it, not the people who know how to cheat the system. And knowing he is there, fighting for that little girl, gives me hope that we can fix this. Folks, I want to take a step back and talk about what it feels like to be forgotten. I grew up in a town not too different from the ones many of you live in. A place where a handshake meant something, and where people looked out for each other. But lately, have you felt like that version of America is slipping away? Have you felt like the people in charge, the judges, the politicians, the bureaucrats, don't see you anymore? They look right past you to cater to someone else, someone who hasn't put in the time or the sweat that you have. Think about the veteran I mentioned earlier. Let's call him Joe. Joe served his country. He went overseas, maybe missed his daughter's first steps, maybe lost friends in battle. He comes home, and his body hurts. He needs help. He goes to the VA or he relies on programs like Medicaid to get by. He waits in line. He fills out forms. He is told to be patient. Wait your turn, Joe. And he does, because he is a patriot. He believes in the rules. Now, imagine Joe sitting in a waiting room, staring at a clock on the wall, his back aching. And while he sits there, waiting for the help he was promised, a man like Abdi Fattah Yusuf is driving a luxury car paid for. With the very money Joe needs, $7.2 million. That is a mountain of money. That could have cleared the waiting list Joe is stuck on. That could have paid for his surgery. That could have given him his dignity back. But instead, it was stolen. It was taken by someone who saw America not as a home, but as a piggy bank to be smashed open. And when the law finally caught him, when the jury of Joe's peers said, "We see you, Joe, and we are going to make this right," Judge Sarah West stepped in and slammed the door in Joe's face. She said the theft wasn't clear enough. She said the criminal deserves the benefit of the doubt, not the veteran. It makes you want to weep, doesn't it? It's not just about money, it's about respect. It's about being told that your sacrifice doesn't matter as much as a fraudster's freedom. It's a deep, stinging pain that cuts to the bone. But let me tell you something, and I want you to really hear this. President Trump sees Joe. He sees you. He knows that pain and he is furious about it. He isn't going to let them forget you anymore. He is turning that pain into power, and he is bringing the hammer down on this corruption. Folks, I want you to remember something important. President Trump didn't need this job. He didn't need the headaches. He didn't need the attacks. He had a gold-plated life. He could have played golf every single day, but he looked at America. He looked at towns like yours. He saw something worth saving. He saw the forgotten men and women, the people who play by the rules and get left behind, and he said, "I am going to fight for them." And let me tell you, this fight in Minnesota, this is exactly why he came back. He knows that when a judge lets a criminal walk free, it tears at the fabric of our country. It tells every law-abiding citizen that they are a sucker. It tells every immigrant who came here legally, who waited in line, who learned our history, that they wasted their time. It is an insult to everything we hold dear. But here is the beautiful part. President Trump isn't just angry, he is taking action. Just last month, in November, he ended temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Why? Because he believes that our safety comes first. He believes that our communities shouldn't be overwhelmed. He believes that if you come here, you respect our laws, or you go home. It's not about hate, it's about love. Love for your family, love for your neighbors, and love for the safety of our streets. When Judge West threw out that verdict, she wasn't just fighting the jury. She was fighting that vision. She was fighting the idea that America comes first. She was siding with the chaos, with the fraud, with the idea that rules are just suggestions. But President Trump and Elon Musk are standing in the breach. They are the firewall. They are saying, "You will not destroy this country." It makes me emotional to see leaders who actually care. For so long, we had politicians who would just shrug their shoulders. "Oh well, the judge ruled not Trump, he fights. He fights for you. He fights for your children. He fights because he loves this country with a passion that burns brighter than anything I have ever seen." And knowing he is in the White House, watching this injustice and saying no, gives me a peace I haven't felt in years. We are safe because he is on guard. Folks, look at what is happening right now outside of Washington. Look at your phones. Look at your neighbors. Judge Sarah West thought she could make this ruling in the dark. She thought she could just sign a piece of paper, let a thief go, and go home to a nice dinner while you paid the bill. She forgot one thing. She forgot about you. She forgot that the American people are awake, and we have voices that are louder than any gavel. When Elon Musk put out that call, when he said resign, it wasn't just a tweet, it was a battle cry. And you answered, "I am seeing messages pouring in from everywhere, from the cornfields of Iowa to the steel mills of Pennsylvania, real people, tired of being pushed around." One grandmother wrote in and said, "Harlan, for the first time in years, I don't feel crazy. I feel like someone is finally telling the truth." That is what this moment is about. It is about the truth breaking through the lies. Think about a guy I know named Mike. Mike runs a small hardware store. He works 6 days a week, barely takes a day off. He pays his taxes every single quarter. Even when business is slow, he plays by the rules. When he heard about this fraud, about $7.2 million stolen by someone who didn't even have a real office, he didn't just get mad. He felt defeated. He told me, "Why do I even try if they just give it away to crooks?" But today Mike isn't defeated. Today Mike is cheering because he sees President Trump standing up and saying, "Mike, I got your back." He sees Elon Musk shining a light on the cockroaches scuttling in the dark. For the first time, Mike knows that his hard work is being defended. He knows that. The people in charge aren't laughing at him anymore. They are fighting for him. This is the power of our movement. They tried to break our spirit. They tried to tell us that corruption is just how things work, but we refuse to accept it. And now, the ground is shaking under their feet. The elites are scared. Folks, you can feel it. They are scared because they know their time is up. They know that when Trump and Musk team up with the American people, nothing can stop us. We are watching the walls of the swamp crumble, brick by brick, and it is the most beautiful sight I have ever seen. It makes you want to cry tears of pure joy because we are finally winning. Folks, I want to share a moment that really defines what we are fighting for. We talk a lot about big policies, about judges, about money, but sometimes it's the quiet moments that scream the loudest. I remember covering a rally in Michigan a few years back. It was freezing cold, I mean bone-chilling cold, and there was this young father standing in line for hours with his little boy on his shoulders. The boy was wearing a red hat, just like his dad. I asked the man, "Why are you out here in this cold?" And he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Because I want my son to grow up in a country where fairness still matters." Fairness. That's the word. That father wasn't asking for a handout. He wasn't asking for special treatment. He just wanted a level playing field. He wanted to know that if he taught his son to work hard and be honest, the system wouldn't punish him for it. But when a judge in Minnesota lets a fraudster walk away with millions that came from the pockets of dads like that one in Michigan, it shatters that dream. It tells that little boy that the rules don't apply to everyone. But listen to me closely. President Trump remembers that dad. He remembers that little boy. He carries their stories with him into the Oval Office every single morning. That is why he is so relentless. That is why he doesn't care what the media says about him. He knows that he is the only thing standing between that family and a system that wants to crush them. And now, with Elon Musk by his side, they are shining a light into the darkest corners of that system. They are exposing the rot that has been festering for years. It is ugly, yes, it is painful to look at. But just like a surgeon has to cut out the infection to save the patient, they are cutting out the corruption to save America. They are doing the hard work that no one else was brave enough to do. It brings tears to my eyes because I know how much they are sacrificing. They are taking the arrows for us. They are taking the heat so that we can have our country back. And when I see the support pouring in, when I see millions of you standing with them, I know that their sacrifice is not in vain. We are witnessing the rebirth of American justice, and it is a glorious thing to behold. We are watching the dawn break after a very long, dark night. Folks, as we near the end of this broadcast, I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about what happens next. For a long time, we were told that things would never change. We were told that the swamp was too deep, the corruption too thick, and the elites too powerful. They wanted us to give up. They wanted us to just accept that judges like Sarah West could rewrite the laws on a whim. They wanted us to believe that our vote didn't matter. But look around you. Look at the energy in this country right now. It is electric. It is alive. Because for the first time in a long time, we have a leader who doesn't just promise change, he delivers it. President Trump isn't just sitting in the White House. He is dismantling the machinery of corruption piece by piece. He is looking at the judges, the bureaucrats, the fraudsters, and he is saying, your time is up. Think about what this means for your children and grandchildren. We are building a country where they won't have to worry about their tax dollars being stolen. We are building a country where the law protects the innocent, not the guilty. We are building a country where justice isn't just a word in a history book, but a reality in every courtroom from Minnesota to Florida. And let me tell you, the other side is terrified. They are terrified because they know they can't fool you anymore. They know that when Elon Musk tweets the truth, millions of eyes are opened. They know that when President Trump speaks, the heartland listens. They see the writing on the wall. The era of the elite playing by their own rules is over. The era of the American people taking back their power has just begun. It makes my heart swell with pride. I look at the flag standing in the corner of the studio, and it looks brighter today. It looks stronger, because we are finally treating it with the respect it deserves. We are finally honoring the sacrifices of those who died for it, by demanding a government that is worthy of them. We are standing tall, shoulders back, heads high, ready to reclaim our heritage. And we are doing it with a smile, because we know that we are on the winning side of history. My friends, wipe those tears from your eyes, because this is not a moment for despair. This is a moment for victory. We have walked through the valley of shadow tonight. We have looked at the ugly face of corruption. We have felt the sting of betrayal. But look where we are standing now. We are standing in the light. When I see President Trump and Elon Musk fighting for us, I don't just see two powerful men. I see you. I see the spirit of every American who ever refused to quit. I see the spirit of the pioneers who crossed the plains. I see the spirit of the soldiers who stormed the beaches. That spirit is not dead. It is alive. It is roaring, and it is taking back our country. Judge Sarah West may have thought she could silence justice, but all she did was wake up a sleeping giant. She reminded us of what we are fighting for. She reminded us that freedom isn't free. It has to be defended every single day. And thanks to our fearless leaders, we are defending it. We are winning. The tide is turning, and nothing can stop the wave of truth that is washing over this land. I want you to go to bed tonight with a full heart. Hug your children a little tighter. Tell them that their future is bright. Tell them that there are men in Washington who love them and are fighting to make sure they grow up in a fair, safe, and prosperous America. Tell them that the bad guys don't win in the end, the good guys do. And folks, we are the good guys. We are on the verge of a golden age. An age where the law means something. An age where your hard work is honored. An age where America stands tall and proud. A beacon of hope for the entire world. We are doing this together, hand in hand, heart to heart. So stay strong, stay faithful, and never ever forget that you are the heartbeat of this great nation. God bless you. God bless our brave President Donald Trump. God bless Elon Musk. And may God bless the United States of America. This is Harlan, signing off for tonight. But the fight for truth never sleeps. If you want to stand with us, if you want to be part of this movement every single day, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Let's keep the truth alive, together. Good night, patriots.